Hello YouTube, welcome to another one of my famous big mess tests. And after the mealer I did yesterday, which I'm afraid I didn't put on YouTube because it failed miserably and it clogged up every single time. It wasn't able to cope, basically, the mealer blizzard wasn't. So I thought, well, we're going to do another big mess test, and I'm going to use a machine this time that I think probably will be able to cope with it. I'm going to be using the SEBO Felix Rosso. The SEBO Felix is a bagged machine. It has fairly wide air paths all the way through the machine. It's using a 3.5 litre dust bag. I'm hoping that this dirt should be able to fit into this dust bag, but if it does get full, I'll have to go upstairs and get another one. I'm prepared to sacrifice a couple of bags for the big mess test. I'll have to cut them open afterwards to get it all out again to reuse in another test, because every time I empty the machine it all gets added to the big mess. So we've got basically everything down here that appears in my big mess tests before. We have the pet hair, we have all the dust, we have all the grit, we have all the cat litter, we have larger particles in there, we've got some old tissues, we've got the usual sort of stuff that you'd find in household dust bag, but multiplied. There's pretty much a full dust bag's worth of stuff here. It may even overfill this, but I've got the bag full indicator here that will let me know if it does get full. So I haven't got another bag downstairs. I'd have to go upstairs and get one if this does get full. So there are quite a few big mess tests going on YouTube just lately. They aren't really a true indicator of a vacuum cleaner's capability, I will say that. All the big mess tests are is a little bit of entertainment really about what a vacuum cleaner can pick up, can it cope, and blah de blah de blah. Some machines can, some machines can't. Now, with the mealer one I did yesterday, I did record it, but I didn't upload it because it got clogged up so many times and made such a mess trying to empty it. And I thought, well, you know, it's a bit of an embarrassment really. I'm not going to put this on because all I'm going to get is thumbs down, thumbs down, thumbs down. And people are going to say, well, you know, you wouldn't expect a vacuum cleaner to pick this up in normal circumstances, but no, we wouldn't. But it's good entertainment though, isn't it? Some people seem to like seeing vacuum cleaners picking large amounts of dirt up, and I do as well. But yesterday I basically tried the mealer lizard with it, with this floor head on. This turbo brush, as I suspected, wasn't able to cope with it. It clogged up pretty much straight away. As soon as the large bits of fluff went in here, they got clogged up in the little hole in the back, and it just completely stopped it. So cylinder cleaners with these type of floor heads, the turbo brushes, will not normally cope well with big mess tests. You need a vacuum cleaner with a good floor head on it, with wide air passages and a good strong airflow to be able to do this sort of thing. Now, some machines have passed already that I didn't think would pass, but I am confident that this machine should be able to handle this with absolutely no problem. The SEBO Felix is a very, very capable machine. Now, a couple of other YouTube reviewers have done good reviews on this. Mr. Vacuum Tests. So I'll put a shout out for Mr. Vacuum Tests. He has got himself his first Felix. It's the Felix Pet in black. I think it's the Eco model. I'm not quite sure whether it is. I'd have to have a look at his videos from that. And he's very impressed with it. He bought a Dyson DC-40, and it was the second-hand one he bought, and it was only the Mark 1. And he wasn't very impressed with its deep cleaning ability. Now, he's bought this Felix and it's absolutely wonderful, but I don't think he's done a big mess test with his SEBO Felix yet. So I'm going to do a big mess test with this, and then it will give you an indication of whether yours will be able to cope with one that you do. Because we do like big mess tests, just admit. But anyway, it's enough of me waffling, because I'm sure people want to see me get on with it. So we'll be starting on this side, and I shall work my way over to that side. And I'll be using maximum power, and the floor head is set on level 3. If it proves a bit difficult for it to pick it up in level 3, I will raise the floor head up to level 4, which gives it more clearance off the ground. Well, we'll see how it goes. So let's go. What I want to do first, I'm sorry about this, but I didn't make sure the camera was focused down onto the mess. We've only got to half the room. Let me just put this right. There we go. Because we want to be able to see it, don't we, all the way across the room. There we go. Let's go again then, shall we? we go. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. That is a total and utter clean sweep. Not even a hiccup. That is completely clean. It's hardly lost suction either. So all this claptrap that people say about bags vacuums clogging up and losing suction, not with modern bag cleaners. Not with modern bag cleaners. That has probably just about filled that bag to the top. Now the bag full indicator, if we turn it on again, just trying to focus the camera on it a bit better, but that's showing that it's getting across now to being reasonably full. But let's have a look at the underneath of it to see what the underside of the brush compartment looks like. I'll just turn it round. No, actually, no. We'll just take it off. Actually, there we go. So, for most of that test, I had it on setting number 3, which raised the floor head slightly away from the carpet at the front, which enabled it to pretty much not snowplough anything. It snowploughed a little tiny bit there, but I just pulled the machine backwards over it and it picked it up straight away. If we look at the bottom of the floor head here, you can see here that it hasn't suffered any ill effects whatsoever from that. No ill effects whatsoever. The reason it's so successful is that it has really wide air passages underneath here. If we just take the floor head out, the carpet, sorry, the nozzle, it's that button there. Pull that in, take that off, pull the brush roll out. What we can see is it has a huge air path at the back of there. I'm trying to hold it up to the light, if I can get it, there we go. If you look at that there is no tiny air passages in this machine, everything is wide. Wide. Absolutely no chance of getting blocked. There is an inspection port there, nice wide air path through there, straight into the hose and then straight into the bag. No convoluted air paths with the SEBO Felix. I believe they were designed by Vorwerk originally, which is why they look very similar to a Vorwerk design. And it was first introduced in 2006, so it is a fairly old design now, but very capable machine. Very capable. So I'll just put the brush roll back in. What we've seen as well is that this feature, where you remove the end cap like that and take out the brush roll, has been incorporated on the latest Dyson light ball, because the brush roll comes out of that in exactly the same way pretty much. You just undo the end cap and slide the brush roll out, just like on the Felix. And you can buy these new brush rolls from SEBO for about £19–20. When it wears out, you pull it out and put a new one in. Look at the brushes on that. Look how good quality that is. You know, I really cannot fault the SEBO Felix. The X4 is a pretty damn good cleaner as well, but this, because you can turn the brush roll on and off as well, and it's got such a powerful floor head. It's a 175 watt motor in this floor head. There isn't much going to stall this. This will be able to cope with any sort of pile without stalling. Some cleaners only have 50 watt floor heads on. This is 175 watts, this floor head. Very powerful brush roll motor in here. So we can just slide that back in. Like that. And then I can put the end cap back on, just like so. Right, and then I can put my vertical unit back onto the top, like that. And what we're going to do, we'll just have a look at the bag. The tiny little bag, right, that these come with, that people say, oh, it'll hold no dirt at all. Look how tiny that is. It's taken all that big mess. There we go. All gone into that small bag. And it is, well, it's not completely full, but what it's done, it's compacted the dirt as it's going down the bag. So literally it is pretty much full. But it was able to retain the suction right up to the very fullest part. I mean, if I was to weigh that now, that's probably a good 1.5 kilos. Probably more than that, of solid dirt in there. So I think that's pretty good, and I'm sure other people would agree. We can see down into the bottom there. I'm going to put the cap back on the top of this so that it doesn't keep blowing dust everywhere. So this is basically how you would put the cap back on and take it to the bin, like that, so that your dust doesn't all flying out the top. I have got plenty more of those upstairs, so it'll be having a nice new bag after this test, and I'll cut that open and use that as the next bag of filth for the next big mess test. Looking at the bottom filter here, has it gone through the bag and dirtied this? Bearing in mind that this filter I've never changed. This has been, I mean, this machine I bought in 2013. So it's what, 4 years old now? Absolutely clean as a whistle, that is. Those bags don't let much through. They're the microfiber ones. That's just the pre-motor filter there. And inside the casing, let's just rub my fingers. No dust. They don't let much dust through. And they don't lose suction either. So, you know, there's so many comments that I've seen on videos which talk about bags cleaners as, oh, bags lose suction as soon as you use it once. That's filled the bag, totally. And it was still picking up afterwards. Okay, the bag full indicator was starting to go across. It was telling me really that the bag was getting nearly full. But look at that. Totally and utterly clean sweep. This machine pretty much is it's a 10 out of 10 vacuum cleaner, the SEBO Felix is. I highly recommend the Felix. It's got a swivel neck on it. I know it's a bit of an old design now, but this was around with the swivel neck at the same time, pretty much as Dyson introduced the first ball cleaner in 2005, I think it was. The DC-15 came out, and this came out the year later, 2006, with the swivel neck. You know, I can't praise, I really ought to use this cleaner more, but because I've got so many, I can't use the same cleaner all the time, otherwise none of my other ones would get a chance. I'd love to be able to do that big mess test with that Dyson light ball, but as it's under warranty, I can't be seen on video doing that sort of big mess test with that cleaner, because Dyson would turn around and say to me, if there was a problem with it, you've abused the cleaner, it wasn't designed to pick that up, we're not going to guarantee the machine. So unfortunately, whilst the Miele wasn't able to cope with it because it was bagless and because of its cyclone design, the floorhead wasn't able to cope with it because these aren't able to cope with the big mess tests, solely for the reason being is that the hole for the airflow, I don't know whether you can make it out just inside there, but it is a tiny little hole at the back. You can just see it there, look. Right? It has to be a small hole to create the fast airflow in through the floorhead to make the turbine spin. But it clogs easily and it blocks easily, and this did not cope at all. So there we go. These go for less than the price of a Dyson. The Eco versions now are about 900 watts, I think they are. I mean, no, maybe 700 watts. So they still come with the ET1 floor head on. Very capable floor head, that is. I've talked about that in the review I did this machine. But I know Mr. Vacuum Tests is very impressed with this machine. But at the end of the day, it is a machine to be impressed about. Variable suction, floor head that you can turn on and off for hard floors. Good sized bag on there, and people say they're small, but you've seen it take the entire of that big mess. How many times have I had to have emptied a bagless machine to pick all that lot up? That did it, no sweat, no trouble, no problem at all. So there we go, that's the big mess test for the SEBO Felix Rosso. I will see you again on the next one and the next review. Bye for now.